Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's Universe podcast. So let's talk about the topic I wanted to talk about it on Monday. I got a laugh. I think that was funny. I got inspired to talk about my beautiful friend Jen Arzino and Belinda Martin, and you will understand who Belinda is. I love her too. I love her very much. So we are talking about the power of letting go and why surrendering isn't giving up. A lot of people are assuming when you let go, you're giving up. You're giving up on your dreams, you're giving up on the people, you're giving up on a house, you're giving up on fill out the blank. And it's a misconception with that goes to the same level of letting go and forgiveness. Because people don't understand both of them. If you hold on too tight to it, it's not going to go anywhere. If you don't let go of a person, let's say you're done with a relationship, but you still don't want to let it go, you don't want to break up, you don't want to move on, then you're causing more harms than good for your own self, because you're putting yourself in a position to be stuck. And it's easy to get stuck. It's easy to get stuck in a job. It's easy to get stuck in a relationship. It's easy to do it. Not letting go is giving up your powers. It's giving up your peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, what is the most important for every human being here is being grounded, having a peace of mind. When you have peace of mind, life comes easily. Everything comes in a positive way. If you don't let go of what doesn't work for you anymore, you're opening the door to the worst nightmare ever. Think about a situation that you have not let go immediately when you are supposed to, and you made it drag and you drag it to the point that, and I will share a story actually, may as well share the do's and the don'ts, because it's easy to come across and share life, and people assuming, because there's a lot of assumption, that we're living a perfect life. So you only talk about, oh, what do you do and the best success and whatever. But there is the flip side as well, where we as human being, have to go through the process and the situation and the stories and the life lessons. One of the biggest one that people don't do is letting go. And you're seeing it across social media, where I'm not even going to go there and give names, but there was an actor who fell in love on a movie with a country singer, okay? And the ex-wife did not let it go. She was bitter, which, it's a humiliation for sure, when you realize what's going on. And it was done publicly, and for years and years and years, bitterness and not letting it go. Well, there is impact in your life. There is impact around you when you're not letting it go. And we all, at some level, experience the not letting it go. I'm going to talk candidly. I had a relationship with someone where it's, oh my goodness. I wrote, actually, it's on my website, the story of So what was the name of this one? It's my EDG intuitive that I believe. Let me see if I'm correct or not. But it's an interesting intuitive. Let's see. I think it's the .com, not the net, but the com. Okay, give me one sec. It's in my homepage. Yeah, under podcast, and as the story of a junkie narcissist and the story of a junkie narcissist part 2. So this is an interesting one, but read it if you have a chance, because this is a true story actually. This is not a makeup one. And understanding that when the relationship course, I run this course, it's done. The intention we've got is, do we stick around or do we get off from the ride? You can get off from the ride for 5 minutes. However, that's why I question people. If you're done with a relationship, you need to block that person. And in order to be done, really truly done with it, and I don't understand why people don't do it. Some maybe in a hope they can, know what that person does or come back or whatever the deal is. But I always said, when I'm done with a relationship, any kind, friendship, personal, doesn't matter, I will block people. I will remove people from my social media. I will remove from my phone. I will block them. If you don't do that, you leave the door open for a situation you don't want to be dragged in. Now you need to set your intention as well. What is my intention? Why do you go back there? Is it an addiction to the chaos? Because here's the deal. When a relationship or you've learned your life lessons on a relationship or professionally as well, it's time to move on. If you don't do it, guess what happened? This life lesson has not been completed. It will go back again for a second round, but this time amplified. And read that story seriously, because you will understand at that point why and the intentions behind it. Okay? So you have to learn to let it go. It's not easy, but you have to let it go. When you know it's not meant for you anymore, you need to let it go. Let it go, let it flow. Easy said than done, yes. However, when you let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, that doesn't bring anything of value. And when I said of value, I'm going to be cautious because, again, based on past relationship and people's, the way they're wired, it's some people will come into your life and think, what can I get out of that person? It's not a one-way street. It's not a two-way street. It becomes a one-way street. I'm going to use that person maybe for her money or his money. I'm going to use it for the fame. I'm going to use it for this. I'm going to use it for that. It's just absolutely crazy. So it's quite interesting. So it's very interesting when things happen like that. You have to be honest, and it hurts. Some relationships, some endings, and the way to let it go hurt. There is a healing part of it, but there is a life lessons you have learned. Now you can stay over there and hooked and trailing that person, trailing that situation. But it brings more negativity. It brings more pain. It brings more hurt. So sometimes we said it's better to rip off the Band-Aid, which is brutal. Like some people who smoke and said, oh, I'm going to go cold turkey. And you're like, oh boy. Well, it's the same thing here. Is you have to look at the perspective and said, what did I learn from this one? Well, I've learned that I don't want to deal with somebody who's an addict. I don't want to deal with somebody who's a liar, a cheater. I don't want to deal with somebody who's lazy. I don't want to deal with fill out the blank. Did I learn this? Yes, I did. Now it's time for me to heal and move on. Because when you heal and move on, you got all of your powers within you. When you continue to do not let go, guess what happened? You give your powers away to those individuals. And as they move on in their life, because they don't care about you, your powers are being shattered in 10,000 pieces all around the world, and you are stuck with nothing except fuming and anger and jealousy and resentment and not healing. Now, when you start to pump up that much of negativity in you, what kind of people are you going to attract around you? What kind of situation are you going to have around you? Do you think that's going to be roses and bonbons? No, it doesn't. So, not good at all. Not good at all. So, that's one thing. And I talked about not only letting go, but forgiveness. I had to teach this to the little one and reminding her, even though at the end she didn't want to listen to me. And I'm like, well, you know what? If you want to continue to soak in your own negativity, it's your monkey, your circus, because I'm not here to save you. Nobody is here to save you. You are saving yourself. You have people who will champion you, be your champion, your cheerleaders. They're going to encourage you. They're going to kick your butt one way or the others, but they're going to help you to have a sounding board. Not to be the savior and say, I'm going to take care of this and that. No, no, no. We're talking being the sounding board. So when you do not forgive somebody, you're still attached to that person. That person doesn't give a crap about you or me. They're moved on. Or they enjoy the fact that you're still attached to them because it's more drama. But it doesn't give you any value to your life except, bringing more misery and negativity. That's why it's quite interesting what learning again to forgive. It's not forgetting. It's not, oh, I'm going to erase this of my memory. Not at all. I'm not forgetting the situation. I am just forgiving myself and I let it go. So all of my powers are with me, not with that person who's going to live a better life, with somebody else's. They move on and you haven't. Again, when you're not cutting the relationship with, when you're not cutting the cords, when you are not healing, you're putting yourself in a situation where you're stuck. You're not going to move forward. You're moving backward. You are stuck. And the more you drag your feet to do that, the worse it's going to be. At the end of the day, we all have our own free will. Situation happened for a reason. I will not change what happened to me since a kid. No, I will not go back. Even the worst of the worst, even the crap of the crap, I would not. Because it is what it is. I had to learn it. And that's fine because those are my choice. I'm putting accountability. It's not only, before you sign up, you got your own life lessons you have to learn, blah, blah, blah. You have your free wills. Nobody put a gun on my temples and told me to do this and that. I did it. I looked at it and I said, yeah, I should have listened to my intuition when it was saying don't do this. I'm like, oh boy. Did I not do this, what I was supposed to? But learning things of how do I speak up to myself? How do I stand my ground? Being a generous person, then from being treated like a carpet for some unknown reason, but that was a life lesson to learn, to be able to stand up on my own 2 feet, to rebuild myself, to change the course of where I'm at, to have finally completed everything I'm supposed to do and to move on to something else different and better. So it is quite interesting for all of it. But you have to ask yourself, am I forgiving everybody? And it can be the worst of the worst situation. And the same with letting it go. Because if you don't let it go, you are stuck. And your life, every level of your life will not move on. If you think you are, you're not. Because you have not learned your life lessons. And you have to release it. Release people, situation, places. You release everything. So you got your freedom. So you can be you and move on to something else better. And a lot of people don't understand that. And yes, pain is associated with that as well. So that makes it a little bit harder for people when you got pain on the top of it. But healing has to happen. And when situation will be tested, come back with somebody different, and you realize, oh boy, this is the same situation than before. That's not happening. Have a nice day. This is not what I'm looking for. Off you go. You learn. You have to pass your badges. And even as difficult as it is at time, you need to be open to forgive yourself at the end of the day. Because one of the biggest things you do when you forgive people is forgiving yourself. You don't forgive those people for what they have done. They were the instrument of your life lessons. But what you do is to learn to forgive yourself for what has happened, and you call back on your powers, on your peace of mind. Because if you don't let go or forgive, then you don't have that peace of mind. You don't have that grounding. You don't have your free will all in one bottle up and life is good. You're becoming somebody else's shadow, and this is not what you want. So the power of letting go is extremely, powerful. Extremely powerful. And that is something that we should all be doing. And as I said, I had situation people that even and we're recording this in mid April, so I had something happening on Sunday, and I had somebody full of hatred, full of rage and anger, and I looked at that person and I was unbothered. Even though that person tried to use her words to like a scalpel, it did nothing to me. And I think that's probably why she was even more mad at me, because it did not do anything. I was unbothered. Why? Because I healed from a situation that happened, and I wasn't gonna, keep it going. I let it go because I don't care. It comes at the point in life, and maybe that comes with age. Okay, when you're in your 20s, a kid in your 20s, in your 30s, or maybe a little bit in your 40s, it's like you still I want to retire, I want to do this and that. There come a point where you realize, who gives a shitty poo-poo about what's going on here? This is not my monkey. This is not my circus. I got nothing to do with that, and I'm not interested a bit to continue in this charade. And a lot of people come to a point when you're in your 50s or late 40s, the only thing you want is peace. You don't have time to go and say, oh my God, I'm going to fight for everything and everything. No. You pick and choose your battle wisely. And I learned this as a young age when I observed my parents. You pick and choose your battles. You don't go to every single battles because you're going to burn yourself out. But you need to pick and choose what is truly worthy to do. The rest, give it to the universe, not my monkey, not my circus. And walking away to be in a full, I would say, immersion of being at peace. That unconditional love and peace of mind and being grounded and being present. That to me is worthy more than anything else. So a lot of people don't understand that, and they keep on not letting it go. Yes, maybe there is a betrayal that you needed to understand, that you needed to see it. You maybe did not want it to see the person who they were, or the red flag. I remember that I made mistake because I saw the red flag but I did not move, or I ignore them. We all done that. I've done it when I was younger too. I'm like, I saw some red flag and I'm like, yeah, they were there. But I refused, and I was the ostrich. I decided to put my head in the sand, and that was my mistake. But I took accountability. I did not blame the others. I even went into a relationship and I listened to somebody I should not. At the end, when everything went and was said and done, I did not blame that person. Actually, I said that was my fault because I listened to that person. I didn't listen to my intuition saying, no, you should not. I listened to that person. And a lot of people like to put blames and said, I'm going to blame that person. No, nobody had a gun on your temples. You listened to that person. Even though the red flags were there, you should trust your intuition. This is part of our lives. And it can be for a job. It can be for anything and everything. So at the end of the day, do you let go and let flow, or are you putting your claws in there that to the point you're being dragged in the mud? Imagine you're like in those old chariot, and you're being dragged in the mud, the face down in the mud. That's the picture actually you should keep and say, okay, if I continue and don't let go, I'm going to be eating more dirt and mud than anything else. This is what I want to do. Not really. So I let go, let flow. In life lessons, karma always come back. Regardless of who's the initiator, who did this and what and did wrong, I don't need, and I said that to several people, when things happen, then it could be at work, it could be at home, we are purview once in a while to see the balance reset and see people get slapped behind the head and like, yay. But most of the time you won't, because it's not our purview. Those individuals will pay what I call it la cuenta, will pay the bill, the receipt. Karma is not ignoring anybody, because whatever we do, good, bad, and ugly, will be paid up at the end of the day. You can try to dash. Some people do, dine and dash. But here it doesn't, because karma knows everything. So think about situation where, and be honest with your own self. Regardless of what it is, revisit those situations as an observer, not a victim, not the perpetrator, but as the observer, and see the situation and let it go, let it flow, and block people. Again, I asked a question once that was for... that was what a guy, I was on a Jubal show, I was on TikTok listening to it, and the guy was complaining, well, she's texting me and she calls me, and I asked the question, I'm like, I don't understand why you did not block her from your social media and from your phone. Unless you wanted that person to continue to harass you, you block. And that individual never did. And I'm like, well, so you don't want that person to let go, because obviously you're not blocking it. You don't want to close the door. You're leaving the door open. Let it go and move on. And I can guarantee that 6 months down the road, or even a year, you're going to look back and say, what was I thinking? Oh my God. I'm glad I walk away from a job. I'm glad I walk away from that relationship. That could be personal or professional, or it could be a friend or a mate. And you're shaking your head and said, what was wrong with me? I'm in a better place now. I'm feeling better now. I have a great companionship right now. What was I thinking? Seriously, if you never say that, go back and verify, and I can guarantee you're moving up. Again, from a bad situation to let go, move on, forgive yourself, get all of the powers back. That, to me, is what we should all be doing. Sometimes it takes a little longer for people to do that. Yes. But at the end of the day, when you do this at your own pace and be done with it, then you can finally move on and get something better in your life. So, all my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.